Hello, meteorologist Brian Wolf here, and we're going to do a bit of an early preview for tomorrow's weather. That would be Saturday, November 29th. So there's been a lot of talk going on, especially in our area and points off to the north about potential snow, accumulating snow, up to an inch of slushy snow. Okay, with this, you always want to look at the computer models. That needs to be your guidance, okay? So we've got the high resolution model that updates every hour with the latest weather information. Then you have the European model, typically the gold standard, so to speak, in terms of a couple days out. And then you deal with the GFS. Those are the ones that I like to stick to. I have experience with those, and it's not really steered me wrong yet. So let's start off and let's take a look at what we are looking at for the surface map. So the surface map that we have is, you can see we have cool air in place due to this high pressure, and then the action is going to be coming out of the west. So we're going to have this low pressure system coming out of the Rocky Mountains, and that's what's, whenever you mix in moisture, lift, and cold temperatures, you can see the possibility of snow, rain, sleet, freezing rain, etc. This is my favorite time of year because obviously I love winter precipitation, but I also love the challenge. Okay, it's not just an easy, oh, it's going to be sunny and 35-degree forecast like it was today. So that's kind of set the stage. I'm first going to start off by looking at the high resolution model. When you get really close to a system, you want to look at that high resolution model. And so with that, we're going to look at the temperatures. So we want to see what's going to happen with these temperatures as we head throughout the day tomorrow. So if we put this into motion, get through today, this is 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can see some temperatures in the mid 20s, mid to low 20s overnight tonight. As we head into tomorrow morning, this is 7 a.m. Eastern time. You can see we still are below freezing across much of the area. But as we head through about 9, 10 a.m., you're noticing that this high resolution model is working in temperatures above freezing. And that's kind of going to be the theme, like tomorrow's low temperature, and I say tomorrow, Saturday's low temperature is going to be 21 degrees. That's not Saturday night. That actually occurs at midnight tonight. And then we will gently kind of warm up throughout the day, just a little bit, hold steady in the mid to afternoon hours. But we see this warm air starting to work in, so much so that the latest model run, actually it was the 18Z run of the HRRR, has the temperatures getting up, into the upper 30s. Now, why would this be happening? And one of the things that separates a real meteorologist from somebody that just spews a bunch of nonsense garbage on the internet is that they just look at what a weather model puts out snow wise, and they're like, oh, 8 inches here, 6 inches here, 2 inches here, freezing rain here. They don't know the mechanics behind it. So when you get a low pressure system that's actually going to track off to your north, is what you end up seeing is warm air being ingested ahead of that. And typically that means warm air advection. And those of you that have been with me since the beginning have probably annoyingly so heard me talking about warm air advection, cold air advection. That matters. And that especially matters when you're dealing with winter precipitation, because you have the difference between rain, sleet, snow, freezing rain. And so you don't only look at the temperatures at the ground level, you want to look at the temperatures that are elevated, what's called elevating warm layers, okay, that could possibly melt. How warm does it get? How deep is that warm air? So for that, we look at the 850 millibar map. And when we get into tomorrow, here's a classic example of why those people that are just spouting out amounts are not going to be accurate. So for instance, you can pick up air advection, which is the movement of air, whenever you see these wind barbs here, these small little arrows, and you see them perpendicular, so that the opposite of the temperature gradients. So these are warmer temperatures down here. These are cooler temperatures up here. And so as you can see, these wind barbs are perpendicular, which means you are going to see warm air advection at the 850 millibar level begin to infiltrate the area throughout tomorrow. You can even see that here a little bit more from the south up at that level, but it's that warm air that's going to bring in um, the it's going to bring in what we're going to see in terms of this switching from potential snow shower activity earlier on in the day on Saturday to rain later on, at least for areas in southern Indiana and along the river and in northern Kentucky. Let's look, again, we're sticking with the high res model. I'm just kind of going through this. And so we're going through, this would be tomorrow afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and you really want to notice what direction that low pressure is taking. Okay, the high resolution model, which I put a little bit more stock in since we're so close to an event, is taking this system quite a bit further to the north. And that's what's going to work in this warmer air. And we actually could figure that out because it was no longer just getting temperatures to the 34, 35 degrees. That the high res model was indicating that even southern Indiana could see enough warm air advection at that 850 millibar level to see those temperatures go all the way to 38, 39, 40 degrees. Okay. But with a weather model, you don't always take and implicitly trust what the run puts out. You want to look for trends. Okay. So when you look for trends over time, is this happening? Then that's when you can see that. And that indicates that low pressure a little further to the north. Now, composite reflectivity, this would just be some of the moisture on the radar image, maybe some scattered snow showers potentially earlier in the morning, 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m. across the area. Again, that's going to be temperature dependent. It really depends upon how far north that low pressure tracks. The further north it tracks, the quicker we're going to switch over to rain, and it's just going to be a cold, miserable rain. The further south that low pressure travels, the more cool air it can bring in from the north. And then that's when you get a later transition. So we will update you tomorrow morning, probably mid-morning, around 9, 10, 11 a.m., kind of on what the latest looks like. And then you see the heavier activity start to come in as you head throughout 5, 6, 7 p.m. Tomorrow. Now, let's go ahead, just for the fun of it, we're going to actually focus on the Kuchera ratio here for total snowfall. But is what I want to look at here is what the latest high-res model has. I would expect all that snow to be shifted north of us, and sure enough, look at that. At one time, Bloomington was calling for a couple of inches of snow. That has shifted off into the north. Now, again, this is one model run of the high-resolution model. You would want to see this hour after hour after hour. Is it trending in this direction? Is the GFS model following this? Is the European model following this? That's really where you start to differentiate between a real high quality forecast and those that are not. And these things matter. And so when weather enthusiasts online, get to pumping everybody up about stuff, that's literally to take advantage of you for clicks and for money. Whereas I have known about this for a week or two, that this was going to be a potential with some snow events, but there's no reason to pump it up because things change. That's just the nature of the business. Now, I want to show you how much things change, even in terms of weather models, because the GFS model here, we'll go back here. The GFS model has through Sunday night, Monday morning at midnight, has an inch across parts of southern Indiana from I-64 to the north. Bloomington, it's got 4.2 inches. So obviously the GFS model is favoring a more southerly track of that low pressure system, whereas the high resolution model is not. Let's take a look at the European model. The European model, same time frame, we'll get to midnight here. The European model has followed that high resolution model. Those are the two that I kind of put more faith in. Maybe, it just depends upon how much cold air is in place at the surface. In the morning, you might see grassy areas or maybe some rural roads if you get into a snow burst. If it is still snow, perhaps, turn white briefly, but I see no travel issues in terms of extreme southern Indiana through the day tomorrow. Now, I kind of want to back out. I'm slowly going to preview this, but I'm not hyping it up. There's another shot of potential snow Monday night into Tuesday. And if we actually take this, we're back to let's see, we're on the GFS model now. If we go back to the GFS model and we go through Tuesday at noon, you can see that the GFS model is currently calling for 1 to 3 inches of snow across the Ohio River Valley. Okay. If you live along, I-64 corridor, Louisville, Southern Indiana, Bedford, Paoli, Salem, Jasper, Evansville, et cetera, E-Town, you really, if you like snow, you really need to look towards Monday night into Tuesday morning, specifically after you get past midnight on Tuesday morning, which could potentially produce some travel concerns. That remains to be seen as we're still a couple of days out. And remember, the GFS gets a little excited. That's one of the knocks of it in terms of precip forecasting. If we go through noon on Tuesday, the European model, again, spitting out between 1 and 3 inches of snow across the area. This is kind of trended down from earlier today with a more southerly track. So, that remains to be seen. You've got to have this delicate balance of enough lift in the atmosphere to go with moisture and cold air for wintry precipitation. But that's kind of what we're looking at for now. We'll try to update you on the real Saturday, November 29th at around 10 or 11 a.m. or so. But otherwise, hopefully you have a nice night, and hopefully that clears up some of the stuff that you're possibly seeing online.